Hi everybody. In this video, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the software side of the Arduino. So we've gone over the hardware, some of the things you can expect to find in the package, and now we're going to take a quick look at the software that goes with it. So first of all, you'll need to go to the Arduino website, arduino.cc, and download the Arduino software for the appropriate platform, Windows or Mac or Linux. I'll open mine up. So it's going to be quite messy because it's going to open up all the projects that I've been working on recently. Let's find the most recent one. This is the one I'll use on top, since this is the one that we'll address in a different video, and I'm going to close all the rest of them. So, just to give you a quick sense first of the anatomy of the window, right here in the main segment is what we see, is where we see our code. So Arduino uses C or C++ as its scripting language. It only uses a very small subset of that. It sort of does its own commands. There are only certain things that are relevant, but the syntax and the structure of the code is basically based on C. So you'll see the variables look a certain way, the loops look a certain way. Things like the print command has that quirky print ln that you get in C instead of just being print. So everything is C-based, but it has its own repertoire of commands that are sort of relevant for sending and receiving data and initiating digital and analog things that are connected to the Arduino. On the window, you can have many different Arduino windows open at once, one for each project, and there are a couple of useful commands here. The first one is this check. That's going to verify your code to make sure that it's going to work on your Arduino. This little right-facing arrow is what you're going to hit when your code is ready to upload to the Arduino. And over here is the serial monitor. So the serial monitor is useful because it lets you read the real-time output from a sensor when the Arduino is connected. So as we'll see in the next video, this is very useful to kind of see the numerical data that you're working with. So these are three of the major things that you'll see on the top of the window. Then if we go to Arduino, I'm going to bring some of the menus down here. You won't see the very top of the menu, but you'll see it as it comes down. In the File menu, you'll see Standard, New, Open, Recent commands. Arduino is very useful because it comes with this huge list of example files, and this is something that you'll want to spend a little bit of time on your own working through. It really shows you the very basic commands, such as how to read from a sensor, how to make a light blink, how to use an analog sensor, how to do various different things with buttons, with tones, as we'll do, how to communicate with different kinds of things, how to control displays. You can actually have output, you can connect LED displays to the Arduino, you can use various kind of complicated sensors, things like that. It really comes with a lot of preloaded code that you can kind of copy and paste and tweak and learn to work with. The other thing that you'll need to do when you plug your Arduino in is you'll need to make sure you've selected the correct kind of board. So the standard one that we're using is the Arduino Uno. That's sort of the small one. There are different kinds of chipsets. There are different related ones that work slightly differently. So it needs to know that, and it needs to know, this is the one I'll have to set, it needs to know that it's plugged in. So actually my Arduino is not plugged in at the moment, so I'm going to have to do that. And once I do, we should be able to refresh this menu, and we now see there's an additional one. This USB port can tell that it has an Arduino plugged into it, so I'm just going to select that. And that tells the program where to find the Arduino for reading and writing. So those are sort of the major things that you need. This is where you can also find the serial monitor. It pops up as a separate window. Right now nothing's going on. Actually, there you go. Now that it's loaded, it does have a sensor connected to it, and that's the input from the sensor that it's reading. And this sensor will be used in the next video. So this is just the basic introduction to how the Arduino software works. All of your code editing happens within here. You can then upload it to the Arduino board, and the Arduino works in terms of loops. So you'll notice there are some variables that I'm working with up here, but then every Arduino project, such as if I start a new one, every Arduino project begins with two elements. This sort of setup area in which you can put a lot of variables and things like that that will only run once. Then the main body of the program is actually just a big loop. And so what you do with an Arduino program is you give it a set of instructions, and it simply runs those instructions over and over and over and over again. So this is usually either reading input from sensors or buttons, or outputting sound or light or data to some other form. So it's basically turning the Arduino into a little device that has various ins and outs and buttons and sensors and things like that. So that's the way that the main body of the Arduino works. So all of your development will essentially happen in this loop command down at the bottom here after you've set up variables and analog and digital inputs and things like that up top. So I'd encourage you now to go ahead and play around a little bit with some of the basic code samples. Your Arduino starter kit has a ton of different components in it. The starter kit itself has sample software, sample programs that you can work with, but I'd encourage you to learn how to use the Arduino samples in here. They're very, very good, and they'll really walk you through a lot of what you need to know. And future videos that I'm going to put up here will show you a couple of the things that you can do with Arduino sensors, with a special focus on producing and working with sound.